It's no secret that summer in the desert is very stressful for plants. Some plants can handle it better than others, but you may have some that may struggle every single summer, or maybe they're newer plants and it's going to take them a while to become acclimated to the desert heat. Also, young plants have a very small root system, and the key to a plant's being able to handle the desert heat, if it's adapted, is to grow a nice healthy root system. And when it's newly planted, it doesn't really have all the tools it needs right away to weather the heat. So we often need to protect our young plants. It could be that you have a plant that shows unnatural signs of yellowing or wilting in the summertime, and maybe the idea of pulling it out and putting in a more heat-hardy plant doesn't really appeal to you. You want to keep this plant. So I'm going to introduce you to a tool that I use all the time, and it's really made a difference, especially in light of our hotter summers. I'm Noelle Johnson, also known as azplantlady, and I'm a horticulturist, landscape consultant, and the authors of the books Dry Climate Gardening and The Water Smart Garden. And I help people garden in the desert. Okay, here's this special thing that I use. It's called shade cloth. And shade cloth screens out a percentage of the sun. Think of it as sunscreen that allows you to tan a little bit. And shade cloth is put directly on the plant. It can touch the plant, and it's going to shield out a certain percentage of the sun's rays. For leafy green plants, I recommend 50% shade cloth, meaning it's going to filter out 50% of the sun's rays. For succulents, you want to use a 30% shade cloth. They like to get a little more sun than those leafy green plants. So a 30% shade cloth will shield out 30% of the sun's rays. That's going to help. When applying it to succulents, like cacti are a type of succulent, if you have a tall columnar cacti, you don't want to cover the top of it, but you can wrap the shade cloth in a single layer around it. And what's helpful when you use it for certain kinds of cactus is the spines do a really good job of gripping and holding on to the shade cloth. For leafy green plants, I like to use clothespins to attach the shade cloth to the plant. Or if you're using shade cloth to cover like a ground cover or something like that, and that's close to the ground, you can simply use small rock to anchor the edges of the shade cloth. Now, shade cloth usually comes in sheets, and you could cut it to size to fit the specific plant. It also comes in different colors. So in addition to black, it also comes in green, and there's also a tan color. And any color is going to work just fine for your plants. The color becomes more of an aesthetic choice as to what you do with it. Now, once you apply it on a plant for the summer, it needs to stay on the plant. And you're going to wait until the temperatures get into the mid 80s before you remove it. And then you can store it away and use it again the next year. Shade cloth is hopefully you can find it in your local nursery, but you definitely can order it online. It's something that I have in my tool shed, and while I really recommend using plants that don't need that extra help in the garden, those that are really well adapted to the summer heat, for my own garden, I do have some young plants that have been recently installed, so I needed to pull out the shade cloth and use it for those. So if you have new plants, get some shade cloth, or if you have a plant that tends to struggle a bit in the summer but you just can't get rid of it, you want to keep that, go ahead and get yourself some shade cloth.